Wait, the Porsche is for Chloe. My father barely looked at me. He was too busy holding up his phone while my mother fixed the giant red ribbons stretched across the hood. Of course it is, Dad said. Your sister worked hard for this. Chloe stood beside the brand new Porsche, keys dangling from one finger, laughing as Mom recorded her. For one stupid second, I thought the car might have something to do with my graduation 3 days away. Then Chloe handed me her phone. Maya, take some pictures of me. I took them. When she finished posing, I glanced toward Dad. My car, still at the repair shop. I'm short on the bill. Could you maybe help with part of it, just so I can get to graduation? Dad looked at Chloe's Porsche, then at me. You can walk. It's good for your health. Mom laughed. I didn't. And 20 minutes later, while I was actually walking back toward campus, my phone buzzed with an email that would change everything. I stopped beneath a streetlight and read it twice. The sender was the dean's office. Dear Maya Bennett, please report to the office of the dean tomorrow morning regarding commencement arrangements. Commencement arrangements. I adjusted my backpack and kept walking, trying to make sense of it. Maybe it had something to do with the graduate fellowship I'd interviewed for. I hadn't heard a final decision yet, and I didn't want to get excited. Getting excited had become dangerous in my family. For 4 years, I had worked nearly 20 hours a week while studying economics. Scholarships covered most of my tuition, and whatever they didn't cover, I handled as best I could. Chloe was different. When she got her internship, Dad took everyone to dinner. When I presented research on campus, my parents said they were busy. When Chloe finished her internship, she got a Porsche. When I needed help getting my 12-year-old car out of the repair shop 3 days before my graduation, I got walking advice. So I told nobody about the dean's email. The following morning, I took the bus to campus and climbed the administration building stairs. At exactly 9, I stepped into the dean's office. The assistant looked up immediately. Maya Bennett. Yes. We've been expecting you. She stood, walked around her desk, and opened an interior door. I expected her to explain why I was there. Instead, she waited until I stepped inside, glanced into the hallway, and quietly closed the door behind me. That was when I realized this meeting wasn't routine. Why did the dean personally need me 2 days before graduation? The dean's assistant didn't give me the answer I wanted. She handed me a small folder and said, Commencement organizers need confirmation that you'll attend the entire ceremony. There may be additional instructions that morning. Additional instructions for what? She smiled politely. I'm not allowed to discuss that yet, and please don't discuss this meeting publicly. That only made things stranger. I left the administration building wondering whether my fellowship application had something to do with it. Whatever was happening, I decided not to tell my parents until I actually had something concrete. That evening, Mom called. For half a second, I wondered if she was finally checking how I planned to get to graduation. Maya, she said, can you come over? Chloe needs help choosing an outfit for pictures with the Porsche. I almost laughed. No. There was silence. What do you mean, no? I mean, I'm not coming over to help Chloe take Porsche pictures. Mom sighed. You're being jealous. Something in me finally snapped into place. I worked almost 20 hours a week through college, Mom. You missed my research presentation. You missed my leadership ceremony. You didn't come to my scholarship reception. Maya, you've always been good at school. I stared at the wall. She said it as if being consistently responsible meant none of it counted. So because I'm good at something, it isn't worth celebrating. That's not what I said. It's exactly what you've been showing me. I ended the call before the conversation could become another argument where I had to prove I deserved basic attention. Minutes later, another university email arrived. Reserved commencement seating had been assigned to my family. My finger hovered over delete. Then I forwarded the passes. Dad responded almost immediately. We'll be there. Might leave early, though. Chloe wants to take the Porsche out afterward. I started typing. Actually, something happened with the dean today. I stopped. Deleted every word. For once, I wasn't going to advertise my accomplishments just to convince my parents to notice me. Whatever happened at commencement, they could sit there and see it themselves. I sent only 2 words. See you. Graduation morning, I stood at a bus stop wearing my gown over my dress while cars streamed toward campus. My own car was still at the repair shop. Then my phone lit up. Chloe had posted another picture. She was leaning against the Porsche outside the auditorium, while Mom and Dad stood beside her like it was her graduation day. I locked my phone and walked through the campus gates. Near the entrance, I spotted them with several relatives. My aunt pointed toward the Porsche. Richard, don't tell me that's Maya's graduation present. Mom answered before Dad could. Oh no, that's Chloe. We gave it to her for completing her internship. I was close enough to hear every word. Nobody mentioned how I'd arrived. I kept walking. Maya. Professor Ellis hurried toward me and shook my hand. Congratulations, you earned this. Thank you. He noticed my family behind me and smiled at Dad. You must be incredibly proud of her. Dad's expression changed. Of course. But he had no idea what Professor Ellis meant. Before he could ask, a university official approached. Maya, we need you backstage. Dad stepped forward. Why? The official simply said, commencement arrangements. As I followed her away, my phone buzzed. Dad, what's going on? I didn't answer. Inside the auditorium, things became even more uncomfortable for them. 2 professors stopped to greet me before I joined the other graduates. Another faculty member congratulated me as I passed. Dad finally leaned toward another parent seated nearby. Is there some special program today? The man glanced at his program. I heard they're recognizing one of the graduates separately. Mom turned toward Chloe. Did Maya tell you anything? Chloe shook her head, then hesitated. People in her department talk about her a lot. I think she's one of their top students. Mom stared toward the stage. Apparently, that was news to her. The normal degree presentations continued until the final graduates crossed. Then the dean returned to the microphone. The room settled. He adjusted his notes and looked across the graduating class. Before we conclude, there is one graduate whose contribution to this university deserves special recognition. My father stopped looking at the program. The dean continued. Each year, the Chancellor's Medal recognizes a graduating student whose academic excellence is matched by leadership, service, and meaningful contribution to this university. Mom relaxed slightly. She clearly assumed this belonged to someone else. Then the dean began describing the recipient. This year's honoree graduates with exceptional academic distinction. Dad glanced at Mom. The dean continued. While maintaining that academic record, this student dedicated significant time to peer tutoring and student mentorship. Chloe turned toward our parents. Her expression had changed. Mom, she whispered. The dean mentioned a financial literacy initiative developed from economics research, work that had helped the department expand outreach to local students. Dad went completely still. He had never asked what my research presentation was about. Mom leaned toward Chloe. Is he talking about Maya? Chloe nodded slowly. I think so. Then Mom whispered the question that almost made Chloe laugh from disbelief. Why didn't she tell us? Chloe looked directly at her. She did. Dad's jaw tightened. I could almost imagine what he was remembering. The research presentation he skipped, the leadership ceremony neither of them attended, the scholarship reception they dismissed. Those events hadn't been small. They had simply been small to them. The dean continued. This graduate has also earned a competitive, fully funded graduate fellowship that will support the next stage of an already remarkable academic career. Dad's fingers tightened around the commencement program. Whatever they had expected from my graduation, it wasn't this. The dean looked toward my row. I felt the students around me beginning to turn. Then he smiled. "Would our recipient please stand?" My legs felt strangely heavy as I rose. Chloe covered her mouth. Mom stared at me. Dad didn't move at all. The dean looked down at his card. "And this year's Chancellor's Medal is awarded to..." Applause exploded through the auditorium before he even finished saying my name. Maya Bennett. For a second, I couldn't move. Then the student beside me touched my arm. "Go, Maya." I stepped into the aisle. The applause continued as I walked toward the stage, and the dean waited beside a small presentation table. "This year's recipient," he said, "has demonstrated exceptional academic performance while giving an extraordinary amount of her time to others." I climbed the steps. He described my peer mentoring, the hours I'd spent helping younger students, and the financial literacy initiative that had grown from my economics research. Then he mentioned the faculty recommendations supporting my selection. Every achievement my parents had treated like another ordinary school activity was being announced to an auditorium full of people. "And we are delighted," the dean continued, "that Maya has also accepted a fully funded graduate fellowship covering her tuition and providing a living stipend as she continues her studies." That answered the question I'd carried since the meeting in his office. The commencement staff had been preparing me for this moment without revealing the Chancellor's medal before the ceremony. The dean placed the medal around my neck. "Congratulations, Maya." "Thank you." I shook his hand and turned. That was when I saw my family. Dad was standing now. Mom was beside him, with tears running down her face. Chloe was applauding harder than either of them. For years, whenever I accomplished something, I had looked automatically toward my parents, searching their faces for proof that I had finally done enough. This time, I looked across the entire auditorium. Professors were standing. Students I had tutored were cheering. Friends were calling my name. I smiled. And I didn't need to check my parents' faces again. After the ceremony, I had barely made it outside before Dad appeared. "There she is." His voice was suddenly loud and proud. Several relatives gathered around us. Dad put an arm out as another parent approached. "This is our daughter Maya," he said, "our Chancellor's Medal winner." I stepped away from his arm. "Dad." He stopped. 3 days earlier, he had stood beside Chloe's Porsche and acted as though helping me repair my car was unreasonable. Now he wanted strangers to know I belonged to him. "You told me to walk." His smile disappeared. "Maya, come on. That Porsche situation wasn't meant the way you took it." "It isn't about the Porsche." Mom came closer. "Then what is it about?" I looked at both of them. "It's that Chloe never had to prove she deserved to be celebrated. I did." Neither answered. "I worked through college. I invited you to my research presentation, my leadership ceremony, my scholarship reception. You kept deciding those things weren't important." Mom lowered her eyes. Dad rubbed the back of his neck. "We can fix this," he said. "I'll pay the repair bill today. Actually, forget that car. We'll get you something newer." A few days earlier, that offer might have meant everything to me. Now it didn't. "No." Dad blinked. "No. My fellowship covers tuition and gives me a stipend. I'll handle my car." For the first time, money couldn't end the conversation. Chloe had been standing quietly beside the Porsche keys, hanging from her hand. Finally, she looked at our parents. "She's right." Mom turned toward her. Chloe continued, quieter now. "We were supposed to go celebrate after this, and you were talking about leaving Maya's graduation early for me. That's messed up." Nobody went for the planned Porsche outing. The conversation my family had avoided for years finally happened, without me having to convince anyone that the imbalance existed. Chloe kept her Porsche. I never wanted it taken away from her. What changed was that she stopped pretending our parents treated us equally. Later that summer, I moved for graduate school. I paid to repair my old car and drove it for another year. Chloe and I slowly built a more honest relationship. She started questioning the favoritism instead of accepting it automatically. My relationship with my parents became different too. I didn't cut them out of my life, but I stopped chasing them. If they wanted a relationship with me, they had to build one without expensive gifts, sudden public pride, or money offered whenever uncomfortable truths surfaced. And I stopped sending every achievement home hopping. This one would finally make them proud. In my new apartment, I kept the Chancellor's medal on the small desk where I studied. Not because it proved my parents wrong, because it reminded me of something I should have understood years earlier. Their failure to recognize my value had never determined whether that value existed. 3 days before graduation, my parents told me I could walk. On graduation day, an entire auditorium stood when my name was called, and I finally stopped waiting for my parents to tell me I was worth celebrating.